Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday single stock edition of Trading Trends. It is Wednesday, July 9th. Let's get into it. New all-time highs, talking the count today is new all-time highs for the NASDAQ, industrials, semiconductors. We are doing the single stock edition of the show, but I did want to point that out first. Big macro stuff going on. A lot of tailwinds happening for this market. Let us get into the doc. And then we'll go into the charts. I love the single stock edition. Gives me a lot of ideas. There's a lot of names I typically wouldn't get into here. So it's pretty great, and I love sharing with y'all. If you got a ticker, put it in there, and let's do it. Also going to be in New York City tomorrow night for a CMT Chartered Market Technicians event. We're going to have a second half outlook. So if you're in New York in the financial district, come on by. We will be there tomorrow. Going to be bulled up, kind of like this guy here. So again, new all-time highs for the NASDAQ. Just want to speak to that. Semiconductors powering it. Industrials also running. We'll take a look at the indices in a second, or the S&P in a second. But so for today in single stocks land, some stuff I've never seen before. Penguin Solutions. This thing has been on an absolute tear. We'll take a look at it. Bloom Energy, a big day, as well as Futu. A lot of focus on ADRs today. They got a lot of the volume and a lot of capitals whooshing around today, up and down. It wasn't all up like Futu. You had Baba sell off, as was JD. So you had some different Chinese names going different ways versus Futu, and Altria as well, MO, the cigarette vice makers. So we'll get into all these parts of single stock land, but first get into the intraday chart and such. I'm John Salama, your host. Give me a second. Okay. So first off, again, SPY ends up 60 bips, really squeaking closer towards all-time highs here. Like I said, NVIDIA powering this up nearly 2%, the first ever $4 trillion company. And that's why your long relative strength. These guys used to be just kind of a video game maker about a decade and change ago. And that's why you buy ETFs. Speaking of ETFs, this sucker right here up 70 bips hit a new all-time high. I can't believe they even need to air commercials during things like March Madness and stuff. It's the best performing ETF, I think, since inception of any ETF. It also happens to have the most volume and trades behind traders. That thing, we invest in the future. Technology is the future. Qs are the best, most viable, liquid way to play that. Invest it and forget it. You'll be a rich person one day. Palantir up 2.5%, trying to now hold above 140. It's at 143. A lot of 1% movers. When I got into under the hood, it was pretty much a digestion day higher. We'll look at where the strength was, really some of this alpha from the single stocks. But Google up 1.5%, Coinbase up a big 5%, Surge as a strategy up 4.5%, Boeing up 4%. So lower volume day as well. As you can see here, about 52 million shares versus our 73 million that we've been running the past month or so. So off by about 20 million shares or so. So in terms of intraday, we actually peaked. It's interesting. We peaked at the bell opening. We actually pretty much came out right near the highs at $625. I'm rounding in terms of SPY. And then they sold it off from 10 o'clock all the way through 10:30 with aggression, and then it hit the bottom at the 11 o'clock East Coast time. We actually finally bottomed at 621, so 1% essentially, almost a 1% move, closer to like 80 bips from the bell open to that 11 a.m. And then they bought it continuously during the day, really based right there around 11 a.m. It bottomed rather. Look at the still bidders in this market, above 50 RSI trading. You can use technical analysis on any fractal. So using on intraday works just as well as the 21, obviously, period in terms of the day, or you can use it where each bar is 30 minutes as I have here. And then really in terms of strength, we really got our legs underneath us at 2 o'clock, signified by us closing above VWAP. VWAP was 622.60. We finally surged above that at 2 o'clock, and then came very, very, very close during 3:30, trying to get towards the highs of the day. Didn't quite do it, but still closed above VWAP. Impressive day of trading. As I zoom out here in terms of SPY, so we are rocking and rolling. Still looking for my peak date in terms of when the bearish distribution phase will begin. Right now, we're coasting right near the upper Bollinger Band with vol expansion in terms of here, this upside. I don't mean in terms of the VIX coming higher. That actually really contracted today. Nice bullish confirmation here with the RSI there about 74. We're squeaking nicely. Again, a beautiful looking candle today. I just still think around this week, this is going to come to rest somewhere between 628, 629 to me seems very far, a 1% further upside, but this market can totally be carried higher. Just looks a little bit rich to me in the short term. And I do think that the next quotes around correction, the next very small 2-week breather that we take will take us to about 608, 609. So I think that is pretty much your risk reward tops short-term $5 upside and more than likely $15 downside. Those are trades I don't like right now. So I'm happy I'm in these trades with wonderful bases. But in terms of the risk reward right here, I think there's better spots to choose. I think we're probably crested. We're going to hit tops right around this week. But full disclosure, I mean, the Qs did hit all-time highs today. Usually that drags a lot of things higher. So, yeah, who knows? Probably maybe we do hit 627 first, and then we have a move towards the end of July towards that 609 level. That's some of the signals that I'm looking for. But amazing trading, truly. Since April 23rd, 22nd, there was masterful rotation going on in different parts of the market. We've been above 50 RSI, not only in the S&P, but in many sectors and subsector groups. A huge rotation day, April 23rd. A lot of parts of the market found their legs right here after this. Essentially, this gap filled, actually. A lot of things happened after this gap up, rather, on the 23rd. A lot changed for the market since that day. Okay, so let us get into some of these crazy single stock movers. Some I've heard of, some I never have. Hopefully, these, I did look at these, most of them before I ran the parameters, or after I ran the parameters, rather, so I didn't have anything squeak through that shouldn't have. So let's take a look. Penguin Solutions is number one. These guys are in the semiconductor space. It's not, for when I thought Penguin Books, like the kit stuff. But this is Penguin Solutions. These guys are a $1 billion company, but they do have $1 billion in revenue. So very nice looking, balance sheet and forward PE, only about 12. And they're looking for semiconductors left, right, and center. These guys apparently did report earnings yesterday, and they're experiencing a relative strength breakout right here. They are designing and developing enterprise solutions worldwide for advanced computing, optimized LED, integrated memory semiconductors. Cool. Up 10% today, as I said. Beautiful looking candle, as you can see. It took out that resistance it had around 22.75. Not certain how many folks play this name, but it does have some volume here. My cursor rather is at the 1 million mark, and this has traded to 2 million a handful of times this year. So some traders do like this one. It seems it peaked last July at 20. This looks like it has a little bit more momentum. I don't think it's done here with this move. That's a really great looking candle. Overbought most of the year since it went to the high. This looks good in a kind of weird, obscure name. Be careful, obviously, in terms of liquidity. But this looks like it wants to get to, maybe 25 before it tries to get to those $28 and then try to get towards those new 52-week highs. So this one looks like it still has more to go. I would not short this one. This looks like it's going to move. I mean, again, today it was up $2. Yeah, I think this one's at $25 in about could do it tomorrow, but in a couple of days. So a little bit more to go in terms of this guy. I would say about 5% or so, but nice looking candle. It hit 23.58 today, and they closed just off the highs. So bullish looking chart here for Penguin. And in terms of longer term chart, I was zooming in on the micro just because it's such a huge candle, bullish engulfing. Took over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My gosh, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It technically did 10 days worth. I mean, since it swallowed up 2090 and 1970, it technically swallowed up 10 days worth of trading today and closed at the high. So that is, I mean, I'm bullish this thing. I'm going to take a special look at this one tomorrow. And in terms of longer term charts, yeah, short term, it looks it's recently has had very nice flows ever since it's trying to stabilize above its 200-day moving average. That is your support down here at 1880, though it hasn't visited that true level since the early June time frame. Largely above 50 RSI since like I said, that masterful rotation in SPY, April 23rd, 24th. Same thing happened for this group, or this stock rather, April 23rd. Since then, it's been above 50 RSI. right after it took out its lows, coinciding with SPY 52-week low at $14. This thing's up now $9. Like I said, 5% up ahead of it. This thing looks like it wants to go an ever very bullish semis market with SMH at all-time highs. This thing's probably got $27 short term. But first, yeah, $25. This chart looks good. And this thing's going to start. Is it going up now? Yeah, it's going up by a penny now. So it's starting to flat line in the 200-day and stabilize. This looks good. I do think the new floor on this guy will be about 20, 30, 20, 40 if you ever get there. But nice looking chart, Penguin, if you're in this one and you caught this 10% move today off of their earnings. Next, Bloom Energy, a huge mover today, up 18. Where this one finally closed up 18%. Bloom Energy, if you guys recall, these guys peaked in January at nearly $30, but an ugly bearish divergence, barely reaching overbought, and boom, a quick fall from that. Good lesson there. 30 down to 20 in literally April 24th to April 28th. Last I checked, that's 4 days. So life comes at you fast. Get a helmet. Trees don't go to the sky. This one, it did so much today. So let's see where to hit the highs today. 29.41. Closed well off the highs, and the absolute 52-week high is at 29.82. So in terms of this for the chart, I liked it in terms of duration because I think the run really just started about here, but full target, I wanted to go to about 26. It rushed and chugged through that. So I do think it's going to have a nice bullish 1 to 2 weeks ahead of it, but some more zigging and zagging on this. Like I wouldn't be shocked if it gets to a 27 handle, 26, back to 28. But overall, a bullish momentum, and it looks like, I don't want to say for certain, there's nothing certain except death and taxes. But $23 looks like it's going to be the new floor on this. So good looking thing in Bloom Energy. Of course, everything that's going on in energy. These guys are a $6 billion name focusing on solid oxide fuel cell systems for on-site power generation in the U.S. and internationally. Okay, and then this one, a new 52-week high. So we showed you different charts. Penguin looks like very, I don't want to say certain, but with high probability, it seems like that one has room to go. That traders were upset. The bell rang because they couldn't buy it anymore, essentially in mass. Then Bloom Energy, a little bit of a different chart. It's going to take some time, some zigs and zags. And then we give you a chart like Futu, an amazing God candle here, essentially a bullish engulfing, taking over yesterday, overbought, 74 RSI, up 9% is Futu to a new 52-week high. These guys are Chinese capital markets. They're like the brokerage out there. And in terms of market cap, these are an $18 billion company. They do $2 billion in revenue. So amazing earnings, financials, not a shorted name, really good looking chart. 52-week high today. Absolutely an amazing chart. Bottom last year on the Armageddon at $52. You see it here, more than doubling, obviously, to where it is here. Again, this reminds me a little bit of the Bloom Energy. Fully targeted, I would say about 132, 135 rather. But this did a lot in a little. So I think it has a bullish week with some zigs and zags. But then again, 52-week highs, amazing momentum. It hit 143.75, and they closed it basically 1% off of its highs. Great looking chart. More bullishness for this ahead. Don't be shocked if it tries to come down to 129 as low as that. Totally natural, and then resumes its uptrend. But absolutely great looking chart is Futu. Let's go to the losers of the day. If you were long these, owie. If you were short, wowie. Nice job. So we go to Altria Group, the cigarette makers. I haven't looked at this chart in a while. Altria. What is the latest market cap on these guys? Let me just check here. My system. Well, first, while that loads, my chart on the other system booted. Give me a sec. Here we go. So Altria here. This group was not doing so. I mean, still a great looking chart. They did peak in early May here. May 7th at $61. Ugly day today. That is a multiple standard deviation for this name. They typically do not move, very volatilely. This is all the way essentially to the lower Bollinger Band. It kind of rarely happens. It got pretty close here. It actually did do it here on April 7th with the U.S. Stock market low. But other than that, look at the 200-day. It's held it all the way. This to me looks a little bit overdone. I like this one personally with an entry under $59. Again, this is kind of a slower mover, but under 59 even, I like that one. I think it's kind of magnetized to 59. This has had great flows and relative strength, essentially, versus SPY since Jan 1. So I do like it. Again, Jan 1, the price here was, just for you home gamers, it was $52. We're 57 to get back. It's 10% up. These guys also do give 7% yield if you are into collecting dividends. So it has stuff to offer. It's essentially range bound here. Nice rise of 200-day moving average. It has held the line essentially with a 50 RSI, but it has been range bound under 62 and above 37. I know it's kind of getting pretty nitpicky, but this is a tobacco company. They are a $100 billion company, and they do $20 billion in revenue. So about 11 PE. And like I said, a beautiful div. This looks like it has so a couple things, two things really. Bullish week or two ahead. It's a very, to me, good looking chart, but it does look heavy around this 61, right around 60 area. It looks like it needs more time to get out of this. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's got a nice week ahead of it. This was a little bit surprising, the aggressive sell-off today, but it does happen once in a while. Yeah, that's my call on Altria. I don't think it's going to totally fall off under $59. I like entry under there. I think it'll get there over the next week. So potentially selling. I don't think you're going to get a ton of selling puts here. Potentially buying 59 calls. But again, check lower vol name in Altria. Okay, they hammered Baba today. Baba, the ADRs have been in focus. The next two in focus will be ADRs down almost 4% as Baba. This company peaked in March, $148. Really some interesting things happening with Baba here, down 4% today. Like I said, it's under the 200-day moving average now for the first time. So July 3rd was the first time. It's not truly oversold. That did happen when SPY hit its lows. It tagged its 200-day. Now it's underneath the 200-day, but not signaling oversold. So what gives short term? Baba, I think, is going to try and find a level here to base, and then I think it will. The momentum in this name, I mean, I'll be honest, it has been really ugly. I'm looking at earnings as confirmation, and you're trusting what the Chinese are telling us. This is really looked ugly. We're talking about names that are above and under 50 RSI. No one has bid up Baba since May 15th. Essentially, no one really took it higher. I would say more than a handful of days in a row. I had a good week here when it went from 114 to 122, and really straight down since. So I think it's a little bit overdone. I think the next rally, it's going to take time. I think the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think this gets to about 112. So you have a cheap, almost a dead cat bounce here. But this is going to really have to contend with this 109 level. I think it gets there, maybe bounces its head, and then goes lower. So you're seeing something really interesting happen with Baba, a $250 billion company with $137 billion revenue. So very cheap technically. But again, not the flavor of the market right now after it reaches that. Really, the fervor was back in February, and then it hit those highs in mid-March. But really interesting, not great looking chart today. They hammered it. Another ADR they hammered here out of China was JD, down 3%, recording all multiple standard deviation moves. So this is something that can happen too. We could be where, so Baba is recording its third or so entry under the 200 moving average, rising, right? So we could basically be where JD was in early April. This is interesting. The 200-day moving average is still rising. It's literally going up 2 pennies a day. That's amazing. These guys peaked in October at $48. The 200-day, still rising, as I stated, is at $37. And these guys have tried to hammer a low numerous times at $31 going back from May and getting close with it since April. So now what? If you're not familiar with JD, also, like I said, JD is a Chinese online tech company. Retail, logistics, and new business. These are $47 billion, so not nearly as big. If my numbers are correct, not nearly as big as Baba, obviously, but they do massive revenue. My system's showing $160 billion. I don't know if that's true. That is way out of size. I would just buy it all day. And obviously the market is not. This one, not as amazing flows. It's really had a tricky, honestly, year since November 1st. It's been a tough one. I think it has, a nice couple of days, but it really seems like it takes a lot to get this above $33. So to me, not a lot of meat on the bone. And this looks extremely heavy. this looks like it has levels of heaviness here. Heavy at 34. I know it's not simple, but very heavy at 34, very heavy at 36, and very heavy at 37. So I'd rather stick this one out. The name looks very not attractive. It's had a very nasty day. Okie dokie, let's keep on going. Top 3 gainers in the past 5 days. This was tough because a lot of therapeutics and some very small cap companies. So I wanted to make it of certain parameters. So the best week we highlighted earlier in the show, Bloom Energy, number 1. It's not just today. Today, yes, it was up 18%. These guys are up 30% in the past 5 days. So we already talked about this chart. But this has been the best chart of stocks this week. Like I said, I think it's going to zig and zag. To me, fully valued right around the 26, 27 short term. An amazing looking candle here, overbought. We already talked about it earlier, but the best performing stock this week. Let's get to the next one. So that was up 30%, Bloom. The next one is SEDG. We recommended this last week. SEDG is up 24%. And it's been the second best performing stock with those parameters. After Bloom Energy, this looks great. You're getting some vol expansion. This one looks like it wants to get to my target. So I believe right here, I'm looking at my notes, June 25th, I said try to get this one around $18. So June 25th, right here, $18. A reasonable fill would have been $19. And I said an exit of around $24 to $26. We are now at $27. Momentum looks great. I personally wouldn't chase this right here, there, but this does look like the 200-day is stabilizing here at 1630. You have a convergence of moving averages at $21. Really a good looking name. I think the next, digestion period for this will bring it to about 20 even. And if you want to play the solar names, this looks like not a bad way to do it. Around $20 to $22. I would wait for it a couple of weeks after this exuberance kind of dies down. You see the candle's getting a little bit smaller, but a nice day, still up 4%. A monster 5 days, up 24%, an average of 5% a day. It's still doing the average. I wait for this really to settle down. Like I said, enter in 2 weeks maybe at around 22 before this thing tries to get towards its new highs. Next one, haven't looked at this one in a while either. Haven't heard much about it. Unity Software, a big week, up 21% today, flat. But Unity, a monster week, up about 21% or 4% a day. So again, kind of almost like a chart in the future. So it did all the moves. So a beautiful entry was right around here, somewhere around 24.5, with a target of around 27. It did a handful of days, and now it even peaked and hit 30. And now you're starting to see give way a bit. I think it has begun today. This can start to decline all the way towards $25 or so. Looks like a natural point for this to rest in about two weeks or so. And it looks like a nice base right here. This has been taking, months and months of consolidating, and now they've really been bidding it up since mid to late April here. Really nice trading in Unity Software since April. $12 billion company off of $2 billion in revenue. They do the games and interactive experiences for mobile phones, PCs, consoles, extended reality devices in the U.S. and globally. So that would be a way to play that. And again, 52-week high is at $31 essentially back there. So nice one. I would, like I said, wait for a pullback to about $25 in about 2 weeks or so. All right, top 2 losers of the past 5 days. Let's do this and finish up. This name is continuing to drop. We talked about it. We said it's not going to last, the dead cat bounce, and it's Centene. These guys down even more still. The past 5 days, they had a very ugly candle just here. You had to really zoom in on the losers. I mean, I'll give you a giveaway. The second biggest loser was Baba, and that was down 9%. So this one still not doing so well here is CNC. Going to try a 52-week low today. I think this tries to bottom soon still, but I can always give 10% to the downside just based on how weak it's been. And I mean, my God, rallies, it's going to take so much time to fill this gap. It's going to take weeks, and who knows, but I would not hold my breath for this to rally to 46. This was like it's doing the staircase of death. This has been oversold still since July 2nd. There are still orders of people just selling lower on the day. Today, the first up, they up 1.5%, but an absolutely ugly looking chart. Second, BABA has been your second worst place to be this week, down 9%. Like I said, a real character change here against the 200 moving average. Be careful with that with BABA. Really been ugly selling and ugly trading since mid-May on BABA. And then United Health. So BABA had the second worst week. And then United Healthcare, the third worst week. Can't talk today. Down 7%. Yikes. Again, the 52-week lows for these guys did come back in mid-May at 249. And now they're trying to squeak something out. Always interesting to me when a stock tries to have these comebacks, or even after an IPO. So I did a lot of work looking at the circle and where the rejections are and where the acceptance and levels are aligned, essentially. So this is still far too high. I mean, the best it could do here is 320, just to simplify math, 325. And then here we are at 302. So this was like it might have a couple of nasty days. Healthcare's been going every which way, depending on where you are. Biotech has been strong, and then general healthcare, depending on what space. And here is insurance doing its thing, down 1.5%. I think it's going to try and base. I don't think the bottom is in yet. I'm just not shocked at all if this wants to get to 295 to the 290 level this week, base there, and then try and put something together, a bounce towards 305 to 310. All right. But United Healthcare, the third worst place to be, down 7%. All right. Fun part of the show. So yeah, real fast. Best trades this week: long Penguin, long Peng, long BE, Bloom Energy, and long Futu. You would have crushed it. All those names were up anywhere from, as I told you, 21 to 24%. Did I do that right? Yes, 21 to 30%. Even better. All right. Top three trades in the past 52 weeks as we wrap up. We were recommending last week to get into, or not last week, it was a couple weeks ago, OK Low and Rocket Lab. So let's just get into it. Number one, this was hard because a lot of names at the top of the year-over-year performer list is a lot of these quantum computing names. Some of them just really recently gathered trading volume. So I had to really, and then the market cap is very small. The volume has been consistent. So I went through and really actually picked leaders that are investable and tradable and may even have options and are liquid and are real, essentially. More real than I'm not going to call out names, but some of the computing names there's just many of them and they're up 18,000%. So number one, though, is Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab is number one year over year, up 664%. More recently, a beautiful buy entry or buy signal for these guys on June 16th. I'll just highlight here. Closing VWAP today was $26. Here we are at $38. These guys hit all-time highs yesterday at, call it, $40. Today, up 1%. Chart looks absolutely great. The flows in terms of like taking money flow, I'm looking at the strength that has on the close was much better, honestly, end of May or May right here as I'm looking at this chart. These were very strong closes and candles. I'm looking also at the money flow in a separate chart. It's getting a little bit weaker here, even though we're still overbought. So I know it kind of sounds like mixed messaging, but it's almost kind of like doing more with less, if that makes sense. But to me, the chart looks great. Obviously, all-time highs are all-time highs. Full valuation for me near term is truly right around this $39 mark. So I personally wouldn't chase it, although it looks absolutely wonderful. I would rather wait for a pullback in about 2-ish weeks or so. It probably takes you to about $33. Some volatility, obviously, is always the name of the game in this one. And that will be your entry into the superstar. So you got to take them, swing at the pitch when they come. And that's probably going to be your next one. The Rocket Lab, number one, best performing stock year over year. Number two, and we talked about this one a couple weeks ago, and I'll pull it up. OK Low, it's up 601%. So very close, like Rocket Lab. This one here is setting up right here. So these guys hit all their highs June 16th at 73.5. Still holding 50 RSI. Trading since the end of April. Love to see that. I think this is just a coil spring right here. I think it's offering you as an opportunity. I had also said this. Yeah, so that's what it was. I remember talking with a trader about this. I made the call also June 25th. And I said, get in this one under 55. And it's been still doing it. So we still have more time. Sometimes the charts are, very timely. Here's $55. It actually didn't do it. It was above 55 for several days the next week, and now this week it's now starting to contend with it. So I think it is a coiled spring. It might take a little bit of time. There has been some selling since June 25th. Just it's been sub. I mean, I'm really like curve fitting here. It's been sub 55. Okay, RSI for the first time since early May, but it still was holding a 200-day. This thing, I think, just got too big too fast. I love entry. I mean, I said it 2 weeks ago. I love entering this under $54. It's at $53.75. This looks like it wants to get to $67 in the next 2 weeks. So that is a heck of a move. That would be $13. I like that total as RSI. The stochastic momentum mix tells me it could go a little bit lower. It could possibly want to visit this $48. I still just think an entry under 54 is solid. So, okay, low. The second, again, this is a bad, it's had a bad, let's call it 3 weeks, but it's the year-over-year winner. That's something I trust. You trust a player that has a bad game, but is, literally the runner-up or the leader, rather, for MVP. That's who you trust. And only periods of overbought. Look at this. Confirming it. Overbought, never oversold. Actually, sorry, just once, September 3rd, on the way to its 52-week lows, which was at $5 last year. And now here we are at $53. So, okay, low, setting up right here. I don't think it will harm you. It may make you wait longer than you want, and it might go lower than you want, but I do think it will reward you. The story's not over, and it looks like it's going to have $67 on it by the end of the month. And that's a gain of, $13. So you do the math. And the last one, IONC, number 3 winner year over year. This is 475%. So there are some gains. You're giving up some alpha there, rather, in between an OK low and IONC, and then it's Palantir at 400 and some change percent. So IONC is your other one. Let's see if this is setting up right here. I do like the OK low setup. Don't love this right here. It might have. So today was up 1.3%. These guys peaked in January at $55, and you see what it's doing here. Still beautiful hold of the 200 moving average. Nice above 50 RSI since April 21st. Really, really good looking. Near-term resistance, though, it's hitting its head at 49. Again, to me, full target valuation is 49. It might get there this week, but I'm not so sure. I think it's going to be in distribution mode, and that that correction will take you to about $40 to $41, and that will be your entry into one of the best winners of the year. So I wait for this to pull back about 10% over the next 2 weeks. Kind of pick your spots. Although momentum can take it higher, though I don't think so, because it looks like it's magnetized to 49 and then it hits its head and it gets dropped back down. So we shall see. Woo, that was a lot. So love these single stocks. So yeah, Rocket Lab, OK low, and IONC, you got to be in them. At least one of them, maybe not all of them. It's a matter of allocating how much these are going to continue to be, I think, second half stories. All right. Peace out. Like I said, if you're in New York City tomorrow, come on out to the event, and we will do a Friday wrap-up show. Peace.